standing in the chamber and the gallery, please. Please be upstanding. The Worshipful Mayor for the Borough of Wigan, Councillor Sue Greensmith.
Good evening, everyone. Please remain standing while I ask Reverend Judah to say a few words before starting the meeting. Thank you.
Let us pray. Spirit of God, and Lord and Giver of life, moving between us and around us like wind or water or fire, breathe into us your freshness, that we may awake and cleanse our vision, that we may see you more clearly. Kindle our senses that we may feel more sharply, and give us the courage to live as you would have us live. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Can I welcome the officers, colleagues from the Clinical Commissioning Group. The rules of conduct for the meeting have been circulated in advance, and a copy is provided on the desk. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening to all members of the public and councillors this evening. We have the following apologies: Councillor Churton, Councillor Clark, Councillor Clayton, Councillor Conway, Councillor Collinson, Councillor M. Dewhurst, Councillor S. Dewhurst, Councillor Halliwell, Councillor Hilton, Councillor Cathleton will be late, Councillor Talbot. Are there any further apologies for this evening's meeting? Okay, so we'll put Kath's apology in there. No. Oh, it's okay. Can you send her our regards? Thank you.
Minutes of the council meeting held on the 18th of July 2018. I move the acceptance of these as a correct record.
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Can I put the minutes to the vote? All those in favour of accepting the minutes, please show. Thank you. Mayor's announcements. Beyond Wigan Pier musical as performed on the 27th of April 2018. I would like to welcome Alan Gregory, the instigator of the musical, together with Scott Chapman, Jason Butler and Terry Burtonwood, who were part of the cast for the Beyond Wigan Pier musical, and who will perform for us this evening. The musical has been worked on for over 20 months, and funds from the show have been used to raise money to send local young dancers, Lucy Eccles, to LIPA. We will now play a piece of music that was written for Ross Wayne Jones, the Daily Mirror correspondent, called Simply Be All.
With everything that I say, and I won't ask your permission before I do anyway. I'm a social writer talking about the wrongs that I see, and I'm sure there's quite a lot of which we'll never agree, cause I'm a hard-hitting commentator writing with a mind of my own. But I'm a blackmail IG fabricator tap on your phone. And if those corporations, institutions, politicians like who you are, then just we are. I question any policy attempting through stealth to wrongly influence the distribution of wealth. Oh, you can privatize or nationalize whatever's your way, but won't be tied to if it is the more that will pay. Cause I'm a hard-hitting commentator riding with a mind of my own. But I'm a blackmail, lie, cheat, fabricate, or tap on your phone. And if those corporations, institutions, politicians like who you are, and trust me that in journalism, maybe that's just simply beyond. I respect the laws given freedom to things that you say, and defend your right to do so to the death anyway. But attacking those displaced by persecution and war will bring down my retribution on your head for sure. Cause I'm a hard-hitting commentator riding with a mind of my own. But I'm a blackmail, lie, cheat, fabricate, or tap on your phone. And if those corporations, institutions, politicians like who you are, then trust me that in journalism, maybe that's simply beyond. Our work is not to stare on bloods and trouble percent. It's the fight to find the truth that's got lost on the way. And if in doing so I somehow get my articles banned, I'll just take the risk, publish whether or not they get there. Cause I'm a hard-hitting commentator riding with a mind of my own. But I'm a blackmail, lie, cheat, fabricate, or tap on your phone. And if those corporations, institutions, politicians like who you are, and trust me that in journalism, maybe that's just simply beyond. Baby, that's just simply beyond. Baby, that's just simply beyond.
May I ask Harry to read his poem at this point, following which Scott and Jason will perform the duet from the show.
Good evening, everyone. When the wife told me to get dressed like this, I thought I'd die. Alan asked me to do a poem between Act 1 and Act 2, so I came up with this one, especially for you. It's about Wigan, how it's changed from Orwell's time to the present day, and how much better off we are in so many ways. A special thanks to the Orwell Society and to you, the audience, for filling every chair. And also to our narrator, George Orwell's son, Mr. Richard Blow. I've tried to include a lot of the sponsors in my rhyme. If you don't get a mention, please put in more money next time. Read a Wigan dialect poem about change. Well, we've left behind hunger, being small and having no teeth. We can all get sunshine airs in schools on Sundays. Everyone gets roast beef. Things have changed since George Orwell in 1936. We get men and women on telly showing off all the bits. Who'd have thought a Scouser from Lee were going to Manchester Mayor? Athletics have beat Man City twice in less than 5 years. Thought folk won't believe it if they could see what they can do with a phone. We can probably phone E.T. and tell him to come back home. Billy Boston and Eric Ashton are two old names that come to mind. We've only gotten one of the best rugby league teams I can find. Poor Leith, my dad would be turning in his grave. We get promoted, beat Wigan, and had a back with them from this day. And Wigan Council, I must admit, at one time I wasn't a fan, but what they'd done with Deal, they deserve a great big hand. I suppose they can't do a lot when the hands are tied behind their back, and even some of council staff look for a clamp for a snack. We've gone from dancing Charleston to doing Northern Soul, queuing at Side Casino, or need dancing where I go. The opposite road station, we all buses in the great big line, right near Oxley's and Woolies. Them were good old times. Now we're getting a grand arcade and shopping I can do online. I thought clubbers went online. I can't pay bottles of wine. We've gone from groats to Guinness to a plastic 5p note, and veneered teeth, silicone boobs and cameras that go down your throat. Remember Christmas presents as a kid? No iPhones or cute little pops. We hung a sock at bottom of bed and get notebook tangerines and notes. We played without washing lines and had chalk on flags for games. Now they get iPods, iPads and something called a Wii. What bloody stupid names. Get ready, now this one will make me laugh. Just remember having put sure whenever they have a bath. Remember Sherty, I've left pathway train quick, it's good look out. I had put sure with my sisters, till my mum said it was too out. Mind you, I can't grumble, at least I had a good run. We only stopped at Sherry when I turned 21. Now we're getting in stock top water as soon as that turns on the tap. We have put the immersion heater on for hours before we could have a bath. Now, I know a lot of folk will say we're a lot better off, but we still get hungry folk who would eat out of a trough. Now, I know my name is Terry, but for a minute I'm going to be frank. It's 2018, we shouldn't have folk homeless and going to a food bank. That's me bit of protesting done. I'll get off my box and I'll tell you where Alan needs. He wants volunteers for costumes, makeup, and artists for telling with scenes. Just contact Alan, even if it's just helping out and making dog brew. Now that's the end of my poem. Let's continue with Act 2. Thank you.
On behalf of the Council, I would like to thank you for coming to the meeting and performing for us this evening. Thank you once again.
You're welcome.
Jason, Scott.
Touch your minds, boys.
2, 1, 2. Oh, I can count.
The morning breaks, the day's clear. I've 20 sails to make today. I'll get my suitcase from the hall, which doubles as my breakfast tray. A slice of bacon on a roll, with Brooker's thumbprint, black as coal, imprinted on its very soul. Not much to send me on my way. I'm sick and tired of doing this. My body's aching from the slug. It's hardly been a life of bliss. There I was working like a dog. We tread the streets to please our boss, whilst almost working at a loss to sell a weekly full of dross that rightly ends up in the bar. Oh, how I dream of being girl. a great journalist one day, picking all the meaty bits from this foul soup. If I could sell as many rags as he sold yesterday, I'll soon escape this job and ride a scoop. I'll put my mat down on the floor as if I'm plotting my new pitch. But what I'll do is aware the old man went to make a switch. I read his paperwork last night, and all his customers just might prefer my 3 bars of sunlight to clinch the deal and make me rich. There's my smart young friend, you take this old man for a sap. You read my paperwork last night, but I'm ahead of you, won't you? If you think Ari's town to search for flogging stuff to wash your shirt, for all they know it's grime and dirt, I guess you've fallen in my trap. Oh, how we dreamed of being a great journalist one day, working up from sales to editor-in-chief. But leave the brooks and court, don't get reporters in that way. All he'll ever get is blisters, corns and grief. Oh, how I dream of being a great journalist one day, picking all the meaty bits from this foul soup. If I could relish any rags as he sold yesterday, I'll soon escape this job. He really hates this job. I'll soon escape this job and ride a scoop. Make you rich, ride a scoop. Make you rich, ride a scoop. Ride a scoop.
Thank you, gentlemen. Wigan 10K Road update. And I have got one of the medals. Betting on you lots, I know the race. I would like to congratulate all the runners who took part in the Wigan 10K Run on Sunday, the 9th of September. The event, again, was a huge success, with more than 2,300 people taking part, and many other people providing support as volunteers. The race was officially started by 9-year-old Jack Johnson, who is the inspiration beyond the race and the charity, Joining Jack. The race was followed by the family mile. Can I thank those who ran for my charity, which was raised for funds for Dying House, and that's why I'm holding the medal. And finally, I would like all members to put their hands together for Christine Charnock Jones, who has supported members for 40 years at Wigan Council today. Please join.
Thank you everyone for that. Thank you.
And well done to all that took part. Declare of interest. The monitoring officer has provided advice to all members and relevant guidance has been issued. Members are asked to consider relevant interest for the purpose of this meeting. And if there are any personal and prejudicial interest, members must leave the room during the relevant item. Please fill out the form on your desk if you need to declare an interest, and return this to Christine Charnock Jones at the end of the meeting. Update for Cabinet Portfolio holders. I now invite Councillor Sleen to speak on recycling within the borough. Councillor Sleen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This month marks the 12th anniversary of the introduction of the Council's revised bin collection service, which provides me with a really good opportunity to update full Council tonight on the progress that we've made. If you remember, the key reasons why we decided to introduce our new collection regime were primarily twofold. Firstly, there are strict recycling targets in place set by the European Union that require the Council to achieve a recycling rate of 50% by 2020. If we do not achieve this target, the Council will be subjected to significant financial penalties, which will be an additional financial pressure that the Council just cannot afford. If you recall, Wigan Council is the third worst affected local authority in the country when it comes to government austerity funding cuts, and we've having to save £160 million by 2020. Prior to moving to the new collection regime, the Council's recycling rate had plateaued at 42%, meaning that we were not on track to achieve the required 50% target. However, since the introduction of the new collection service, I'm delighted to inform Council that our current recycling rate is now at 54%, and we predict it may rise even further, which is great news for our financial position, and it's brilliant news for our local environment, meaning that less and less waste is now going into landfill. The second key consideration when we took the decision to change our collections related to the escalating costs associated with providing our bin service. By moving the current collection service, it's allowed us to remodel how we deliver the service, which has in turn now saved the Council approximately £2 million per year. And as a result, and in line with the deal, we're the only council in Greater Manchester not to increase its council tax. So just to reiterate, our revised bin collection service now has one of the best recycling rates in GM. It's also saved the council approximately £2 million per year, and it's helped make Wigan's council tax one of the cheapest in Greater Manchester. We're continually listening to the concerns raised by residents, particularly in relation to fly tipping, larger families who thought they might struggle with the new collections regime, families with children in nappies, householders that produce high volumes of medical and clinical waste. And there were also comments during the consultation that there would be an increase in flies and maggot problems. I'm pleased to inform Council that due to the excellent work of our education enforcement team, supported by our residents, the reports of fly tipping across the borough have reduced by 13% on the same period last year. This also looks at the national trend, which shows there's been an overall increase of 7% in reports of fly tipping. I can also advise Council that we've also issued approximately 4,500 additional black bins to those families that qualify. And it's another example of how we're supporting our residents to effectively manage their household waste and supporting those households who might otherwise struggle because they generate greater waste volumes which cannot be recycled. I am aware of comments expressed on social media regarding the increase in the number of flies and maggots during the recent hot weather. However, officers have undertaken further research on the issue and have found that this issue has been a problem for more or less all local authorities across the country, irrespective of their collection frequency, be it weekly, fortnightly, 3 weekly, or in some cases a monthly collection. It's therefore safe to say that flies don't just target the councils that have moved to 3 weekly bin collections. The two key factors governing this problem are clearly down to the unusual hot weather conditions, together with the way some residents have been storing their food waste. Can I remind Council that all food waste should be placed in the green bin, which has remained on a 2 weekly collection. In conclusion, I'd like to thank our residents for supporting this major change in our waste collection service and for supporting the deal by recycling more, recycling right. Can I also express my thanks to the staff who work in our waste collection services for the professional way they deliver the service, which sometimes has not been easy and has not been helped by some of the public criticism made by one or two opposition members. As a council and as community leaders, we all have a duty to ensure we pass on a better version of this borough to our younger generation. And we can only do this by being environmentally friendly and by ensuring the borough is greener and more sustainable. I've been very fortunate to meet someone who's made me think about...
What is your point of order?
Point
can't respond to the 4 years older, so it isn't for actually for us, a couple of opposition members. I would happily respond if it was allowed to, but given that we can't, I think it would be better if we didn't make it political at this point. Thank you.
Please continue, Councillor Seeley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I was saying, I've been very fortunate to meet someone who's made me think about how important recycling actually is, and reminded me of the reasons why looking after our local environment and the planet matters so much. Emma is 5 years old and contacted us as she is a passionate environmentalist who's decided to take things into her own hands and make a difference. Many 5-year-olds ask for bikes, trampolines or other toys, but Emma instead has a trusted litter picker and gets out in the community carrying out her own litter picks in the area where she lives. She truly is a fantastic ambassador for the deal, and she sets an example for all of us to follow. And she wants to tell you something too. Could we play the video, please?
I'm Ember. I'm 5. Let's talk about recycling. Putting things in bins is easy. Paper goes in your blue bin. Food waste goes in the green bin. Tins and bottles go in the brown bin. People throw litter on the floor. They think that it will dissolve, but it won't. It's not good for the planet. If you don't recycle, the planet will be dirty. It's my planet too. Recycling is good for the planet. You won't let me down, will you? Recycle right. Recycle more. Recycle right. Thank you for recycling.
I'm joining Ember in her campaign, and I hope you all will too. I urge all members, irrespective of their political affiliations, to join me in joining Ember. Let's support her by recycling more and recycling right. It would be an absolute travesty if we let Ember down. I'm very pleased to report to members that Ember joins us here tonight, and if she isn't too shy, which I'm sure she isn't, I'd like to ask her to come to the front as we have a few gifts for her.
free parking for Wigan and Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. How do I follow that? Agreed. That was absolutely fantastic. A big thank you to Carl, to Emma and all the family friends. I think most people realise, not just in Wigan but nationally, there's been a massive decline in terms of retail outlets across the country. It's not just something similar to Wigan, it's happening across the country. And what I've decided is that I'd like to give as much support as I can to our two main town centres of Wigan and Leigh, because they are such an important part of the borough's life. So from this Saturday, the 15th of September, through to the 31st of January 2019, all our car parks will be free on Saturday and Sunday. I think it's so important that we give as much support as we can to the retail sector, particularly in Wigan, and we hope the public of Wigan get behind this initiative, and please support our town centres as they are so important to us. Thank you, Madam.
Amendments to the Constitution. The Council is requested to agree the proposed amendments to the Council's Constitution as set out in the report on pages 11 to 16 of the agenda and in the attachments at details on pages 17 to 54. The proposed amendments are as recommended by the Constitutional Working Group in the minutes from their meeting on pages 49 to 53. I invite the Leader to move the recommendations. Leader.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I thank the members of the Constitutional Working Group for dealing with this? It's not the easiest of, the lightest of subjects, or the actual subject itself can be quite boring in some respects. But can I thank the Constitutional Working Group, Councillor Winsley, Councillor Gerard, Councillor Mooney, and myself who attended and went through this. So a big thank you, and I have a great pleasure in moving the amendments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are the recommendations seconded?
I'd like to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Winsley. Do any other members wish to contribute? All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Councillor Winston. No. Dates and times of meeting 2019 to 20. A timetable of the meetings for the 2019-20 municipal year has been circulated. I invite the Leader to move the timetable of the meetings set out on pages 59 of the Council agenda. Leader.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do any other members wish to contribute? All those in favour, please show. Against? That is carried. Replace. Appointment of Hay Parish Council to replace Councillor Judith Wild. To report that Councillor Chris Hatherall was appointed by Hay Parish Council on the 10th of September 2018 to replace former Parish Councillor Judith Wild. Proposed changes to the Transport for Greater Manchester Committee. The Council is requested to agree to the proposal for the Greater Manchester Combined Authority on changes to the membership and operating agreements for the Transport for Greater Manchester Committees, as outlined in the report on pages 61 to 91 of the agenda. I invite the Leader to make his nomination for representatives to the TFGM Committee and to move the recommendation in the report These must be Labour nominations to accord with the political balance of committees.
Can I move Councillor Mark Aldred and Councillor Holland, please, Madam Mayor?
Are the nominations and recommendations seconded? Thank you. Do any of the members wish to contribute? All those in favour, please show. Against? It is carried. Changes to the Constitutional Working Group basis. The following item is being considered as a matter of urgency. The special circumstances being the need to appoint to the Constitutional Working Group as soon as practically possible. We have received 2 nominations for the vacancy of the working group, and where there are more than 1 nomination has been received, council approval is sought to determine who is appointed to this place. The following nominations are being received for the vacancy. Councillors Whiteside and Grundy. All those in favour of Councillor Whiteside, can you show? All those in favour of Councillor Grundy, please show. Councillor Whiteside is elected. Policy and budget framework items. Financial Monitoring Charter 1. At pages 93 to 117, we have a report that requests the Council to adopt the amended capital programme for 2018-19. I invite the leader to move the recommendations.
I'd like to move, Madam Mayor.
Are the recommendations seconded?
I'd like to second, Madam Mayor.
Do any of the members wish to contribute? Councillor John. Councillor John.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me today, I'm a little bit under the weather. I sound really stupid. I am on the I am on the policy and budget team, aren't I?
Financial monitoring.
Thank you, I do.
So it's financial monitoring.
Financial. So it's not the policy and budget framework?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was reading through it over here and noticed Ashton Market was mentioned and we'd actually put in some money into. For anybody who's noticed as of late, Ashton Market is in big decline. Last Saturday I got a phone call. So obviously Ashton the town centre for Ashton Mayfield, which is my Ward Green as well. And we actually had one gazebo up, and the big problem is, throughout the history of Ashton Market, we've always had cabins. And whenever they got used a lot and they was looking down, we'd get new cabins. They didn't trade like normal market trade, they traded more like shops. They stored the stuff in there. There was about 6 to 7 trades who was the backbone. And although they warned and warned they would leave if we went to the gazebos, we did it anyway. And now we've got one gazebo. We really need to put some investment and get something better. I agree, 100% blue cabins didn't look good, it looked like a shit in the yard. But, and I'm sure Councillor Bullen will agree, the market is the backbone of our town. And if we don't get something started there, maybe that means bringing some business professional advice in, how they do it, but we really need to do something. Because it'll be a sad, sad day when Ashton Market dies, and it won't only be the market, it'll be the town centre. I want to see the same effort we put into Wigan and we'll put into Lee, into Ashton, also like Atherton. I know you have to know investment. So I'd like to politely ask if you could have a look into that and really get to work on Ashton Market. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Any other members wish to contribute? Leader, do you wish to sum up? Oh, I do apologise if somebody just come up. Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've noticed within the report there are proposals to do remodeling
primary schools in London. I'd like to absolutely welcome this. I think it's superb. We've been arguing that with all the development in London, there is a need for extension school places. I am delighted that our arguments have not fallen on deaf ears and that some money is going into the capital programme to extend school capacity in London. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Gunton. Councillor Buckley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to speak. Looking through this budget, what's the term budget? Just a few questions. On page 100, it says, the recent good weather has also led green spaces tonnage to exceed. Well, I thought grass cuttings was suspended in Wigan Council because of the good weather. So why can the tonnage be exceed? Obviously, there's some misunderstanding there with the cost of our recycling or waste or whatever you come about, like I mean. I'd like that question to be answered, please, by Councillor Sweeney or the report portfolio. In page 110, annual investment strategy. Well, I've received information that certain officers are swaying approximately £300,000 worth of investment for no reason at all. They're implementing it into the wear and tear facility, which they're making a lot of money. We're being charged, we're charging them, sorry, £18,000 a year and a possible investment of £25,000 a year. It's not happening. This certain officer has allowed this company to invest the money into the track under wear and tear, and it's built into the lease. So I think that's a serious issue. And then we've got development in the Green on the 106, 99 houses, no 106 money. The council has swayed that. We're in desperate need of investment in the Green. But it's in the policy, annual strategy investment, I mean, nothing. But yes, get to the last page, 112, there's going to be a profit established at £45.5 million. Well, I think that supports Councillor Gerard's proposal for £4 million for Lewis, and I'd like to propose that in the Green Gates as well, because we don't get any investment. We have spent, steal and borrow for what should be rightfully ours as in the Green. Everything goes to Abram Ward. England Ward gets a few bits and bats, but we get nothing. And according to this strategy here, we'll in profit by £45.5 million established for the end of the year, which is brilliant. But will we get it? I want some answers, and I want some, proper answers. I want cooperation from officers who don't provide the information that we request going through the channels. I've just been waiting for something to arrive tonight. 25 days I've been waiting for this information, and it's not the information I've got. So we need more information. Again, we keep going on about this. You put it in papers here, but we don't get it. We don't even have meetings. I've asked for meetings for the clerk, the financial guy. Sit down and talk to us. Explain some reasons what's going on. Where's the money going? We don't get it. So, Madam Mayor, can we have some cooperation from officers? We're all councillors, we're 75 councillors. Not just certain amount of councillors get information. We get nothing. Even the officer of what's been allocated to me, he's upset that he keeps asking for the information on my behalf and he's not giving it. Something needs to be done, seriously. We are all councillors. Just because we're not Labour, because we're not Conservative, we are councillors. We are here because the people want us here, and we need answers to our questions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beaver. Leader, do you wish to say something? Councillor Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just on Councillor Brealey's point about green waste and green spaces, I'm not clear in terms of what he's talking about, in the sense that I am aware that the green waste tonnages collected by our waste collection service have increased dramatically and contributed to our increase in recycling rates. But I will write to him separately and answer his other points.
Thank you, Councillor Seeley. Leader, do you wish to sum up?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Obviously, I thank the members for the comments. But at the same time, we seriously know what we have to do with our budget going forward. Thank you to Councillor Gunning for his comments on the schools. That's what we want to hear, because that's what we want to achieve in turn. And I didn't think that to argue for it. I can't remember any arguments with you over it. It's something that we've always wanted to do. And we talk about green waste. That's the fact of the matter. It is. Green waste tonnage is increasing. Whether you like it or you don't like it, that's what's happening. It's gone up. And it's a big plus to us because we're not putting as much in landfill sites. And certainly when we start talking about the budget, I'm not being fully counselled really, but we hear it time and time again from you. You get answers, you do get answers, but you don't always like the answer you get. Now I cannot change that. But the vast majority of people, I'm sorry.
Councillor Wheeler. Right, Councillor.
I've no intention of
Point of explanation.
I will no interruptions when the leader is... Councillor Wheeler, this is the second time. The third time I say it, I will ask people not to be heard. So please be quiet when the leader finishes. Leader, would you continue, please?
Thank you. And I think the vast majority of members are quite satisfied where we sit in the first quarter of our financial report. Absolutely brilliant. I've said before in here when we've had questions previously where people keep continuing to question officers' credibility is totally wrong. No need for it. Let's talk about what's in the report. The report is very clear to see. It is the first quarter. We will talk about district centres, I'm sure, because I'm as interested in district centres as I am in the main town centres, because they're all important to the communities that elect us and bring us in. So I'm more than happy to have a look at district centres, and that's the programme that we're doing. But can I just say, can we stop please having to do with officers' integrity? No need for it, Madam Mayor, and I hope members appreciate what I'm saying, because eventually members of the public will get fed up with hearing the story, that there's no story behind it. So thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'm happy to move the report.
Thank you. All those in favour of accepting the recommendations set out in the report, please show. Against? That is carried. Questions and comments. Councillor Brewer wishes to ask the following questions. Councillor Brewer.
Thank you. And we paid a visit up to Ayall in the summer holidays. And I haven't gone to earlier. And we'll see Councillor Steve Jones.
Councillor, could I ask you just to ask the question? You can't read out, you just got to ask the question.
The question is, why is Ayall Hotel, the building, being allowed to, what was that, body up windows with filler and a paint over them, you know, and this facility was given away, you know, and it's not beholden to the facility. It's a grade listed 2 building. The leaseholder is putting gates up, putting fences up. Again, not...
Councillor Brewer, I'm sorry, but you've got to stick to the question.
Well, the question is, why is this leaseholder being allowed to do work like this when it's not within the lease? And I'll ask some questions after. Is that okay? Fair enough,
I will now...
I'm assuming Councillor Riley didn't get 5 minutes when I went through the Constitution.
Just, Councillor Jones, what I have here in front of me, could I please ask for quietness, please, at the moment? Councillor Jones, here in front of me, I've got the Councillor Brewer wants to ask a question to the leader. He has asked that question, No, I'm going to get the leader now to respond
So it
to
doesn't
that.
say 5 minutes in the Constitution, you can talk about
It actually doesn't say 5 minutes here.
I apologise, Madam.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Leader, would you like to say anything?
Can I thank Councillor Brealey for his question? I'm not professional enough to quote a bodged up job. I'm not professionally qualified to do that. But I'll certainly get Councillor Brealey's observations checked out. I know that officers are aware of it, because I think you've already asked officers or mentioned it to officers. And we'll certainly look at that when we reply back to Councillor Brealey within 14 days. And everyone will get a copy of that. So it will be looked at, and Councillor Brealey will get a letter back in response to this question.
Thank you, Leader. Notice of motion. Following members' earlier approval of the revised rules of procedure during the amendments to the Constitution item, the two motions put before Council this evening will be considered using the motion flow chart as detailed at pages 33 in your agenda pack. This evening's first motion has been submitted by Councillor Gerard. I would remind him that he does not need to read out this motion as it is set out on pages 125 of the agenda. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing this motion to be heard, which is of high importance to residents and business owners in Alton. In these difficult economic times and the change of people's shopping habits, this has seen a decline in our town centres, most notably Alton. A once vibrant shopping centre with everything you could possibly need within walking distance is a victim of these changes, along with years of lack of investment and support of this council. Atherton, in my view, should have been this council's choice for the merged challenge at the end of last year. One of the reasons given was that Atherton would need too much investment. Well, that's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one before. That said, I welcome the master plan that has been compiled, but this is no guarantee that the investment will be available or a rigid timescale to implement the plan. I have heard it could take anything from 5 years up to 20 years to implement. In my view, Atherton Trade Centre cannot wait any longer for investment or support from its parent authority. Therefore, I am asking for this council to set aside a significant amount of money, like the recently regeneration fund, and a timescale of 12 months to implement, to give Atherton the best possible chance to survive and update itself to be fit for purpose in the 21st century. I feel, as do many others, that local planning authorities should plan positively to support town centres, to generate local employment, promote beneficial competition with and between town centres, and create attractive, diverse places where people want to live, visit and work. A town centre just doesn't serve those who live on the directly in it. It tends to and needs to attract people from neighbouring areas and often from further afield. For a town centre to remain resilient in its offer of products and services, it needs to have a good mix of shops, bars, services and outdoor areas. We have seen over recent months diverse shops and bars opening in Alton, which are initially doing well. But to support these businesses and attract more diverse niche shops, we need to invest and, if necessary, compulsory purchase long vacant premises whose landlords are overcharging and made them fit for rental at an affordable price for startup businesses. Community spirit is closely associated to various elements for social cohesion. And in Alton, we've got probably one of the best community spirits in this borough. In some cases, a sense of pride of place and even customer loyalty with investment, stronger community bonds could be instrumental in the town centre's ability to address and surpass residents and visitors' needs and expectations. Community spirit is also a key element of quality of life. Evidence suggests that people who feel part of their place are happier and more willing to get involved in sharing their skills to make things happen locally. This can create a positive spiral of activity, distinctiveness and satisfaction. I truly believe that with the right investments and planning, Atherton can be one of the success stories within the borough and the region. We are perfectly placed within the road network of the motorways and main links into Manchester and Liverpool, Bolton, even all over to the lakes. We have 2 rail stations, good bus links, including the guided busway, and with new building projects taking place in Atherton, it is making it an attractive place to live and commute. The problem is though, people are going out of town and ultimately this borough, rather than into it for their shopping and entertainment needs. With investment, that trend can be reversed and boost local trade, economy and employment. We have the successful Ena Mill with plans to expand. We have course loads of visitors every week coming into the outlet centre. As I've mentioned, they have plans to expand the mill's operation, which in turn will attract more visitors. The town centre though is failing these kind of shops. The town centre should be able to attract these shoppers also. With the right investments, I believe it will and thrive. We have seen so many millions spent in the core towns over recent years, even under these austere times, including the purchase of the galleries, the investment of £5 million each into Lee and Wigan town centres to attract shoppers, who have defected town centres to retail parks that have been allowed to be built in such close proximity to those town centres. I believe it's now Atherton's turn for this form of investment. As the adage goes, you must speculate to accumulate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is the motion seconded? Councillor Hodgkinson, do you wish to speak on the motion or reserve your right to speak until later? Thank you. Do any other members wish to speak on the motion? Councillor Harley.
Madam, thank you for allowing me to speak on this motion. Colleagues, members of the public might wonder why Atherley Labour councillors wish to speak on this motion tonight. Well, for clarity, I'll explain. Atherton Town Centre split right down the middle of Market Street into 2 political wards. Looking towards Lee, everything on your left is actually an Atherley ward. So you can see we have an equal interest in working to make a better Atherton. However, I'm surprised this motion has been put forward at all. Why? Simply because it's not necessary. Why? Because we've already been given an understanding that the funds will be made available to Atherton and to all our district centres. In fact, we've already had an assurance on 2 occasions. Let me explain. Atherton and Atherley's Labour councillors have worked for over 12 months now with the Wigan Council project team to develop Atherton's strategic master plan. We've been represented at every single meeting. We've given constructive input and driven the project forward from the outset. We've also visited local businesses to undertake informal consultation during the drafting process. Sadly, I can't say the same for my independent colleagues who haven't attended every meeting by a long chalk. So where was the first promise of funding for Atherton? We met with the then leader of the council, Councillor Peter Smith, earlier this year. I attended that meeting with Councillor Karen Aldrin and Councillor Jamie Hodgkinson and several members of the project team. I specifically asked the leader if funding would be made available once the master plan was completed, and he gave a clear undertaking that there would be funds. And that's one reason we don't need a motion tonight. I'll explain the other later. Labour councillors always attend the Atherton Residents Association ARA meetings. Chris Green, Conservative MP for Bolton West, attended the last ARA meeting and wrote a League Journal article last week about the master plan and the GMO's Town Centre initiative. He stated, and I quote, "I supported Councillor Stuart Jarrett's campaign for Atherton to be the Wigan's choice for the challenge. Mr Green must have had some sort of selective amnesia in thinking that the Atherton and Atherley Labour councillors haven't played their part in pushing for Atherton to be the town selected for nomination in that Town Centre initiative. In fact, I'll read out a short précis of my email to Andy Burnham on 22nd of November last year. Hi Andy, I'm writing to ask you to consider Atherton as one of the towns for urgent regeneration. I can clearly see the many opportunities Atherton has as one of our smaller towns should it receive funding from your proposal. Regeneration investment could drastically improve the town from an economic, business, employment, residential and leisure perspective. Much infrastructure already exists in the form of 2 rail stations and the D2 guided busway, and these facilities can be optimised with further town centre investment. As one of Wigan's peripheral and smaller towns and being nearest to the Bolton-Wigan border and the M61 motorway, investment here will only pay dividends to all who live, work and visit the town. Atherton is currently developing a strategic master plan. Wigan Council has clearly recognised the town's potential by prioritising the town for a master plan and is already investing time and resources. Investing from your proposed regeneration initiative could kickstart and indeed accelerate Wigan Council, councillors and the local group's plans and bring to fruition the town centre improvements to meet and indeed exceed the aspirations of those who live, work and visit. As always, we are available and willing to discuss the above matters at any time. I also read that out at 2 ARA meetings and gave advice to attendees on how best to write to Andy. If that's not a Labour councillor showing support for the regeneration of Atherton, what is? All other Atherton and other Labour councillors supported that position. Councillor Gerrard's motion asked Wigan Council to put investment funds into Atherton. Yet only yesterday at the Planning Committee, he was the only councillor to vote against granting the development of 830 new homes in Atherton. No doubt that'll get some publicity and keep some local residents happy. But how can he honestly bring a motion to this council asking for funding and support for Atherton Master Plan when in fact he voted not to support investment in the town, not to support regeneration and not to support the local business community who will, through this development, have a potential 2,000 plus new residents spending money in our local shops and businesses. So where's the second reason we don't need the motion? Well, on the 7th of March at full council, the leader agreed that there would be funding made available. The councillors voted on the deal for the future revenue and capital budget framework. It was subsequently approved by all, including all Atherton and Adelaide councillors. In summary, if this motion has to be voted on tonight, I'll be unable to support it because Councillors Jarrett and Hodgkinson should know the funding issue has already been dealt with, agreed and already voted upon by this full council. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I do want to speak in support of this motion. As some of you might remember, obviously I am the Conservative Council for London East. Why is the Conservative Council for London East speaking on this? It is because I stood in the general election as the Conservative candidate for the Leeds constituency, which includes the Aberdeen ward, which John rightly says contains part of the High Street in Aberdeen. Spoiler alert, I didn't win. But it was certainly something that came up a lot, certainly at the Residents Association. We were speaking to local residents when I was going around the town with free. And I remember it came up at the Atherton Residents Association, when Atherton Residents Association held the hustings. And both I and Chris were present at that husting. It was raised in a number of different forms by members of the local lecturers, as well as members of the Residents Association. And I said back then I thought it was a good idea, and obviously Chris Green as well. Obviously, Chris is a member of this council, can't be here tonight, but I know full well Chris supports this as well. You know, obviously in previous council meetings over the past couple of years, both myself and Councillor Winston, amongst others, brought up motions along the lines of we've got to get something done. The general election, I was so strongly struck by the arguments made that I actually put it in my election week to say we should make Atherton the test bed for this. Obviously, I'm delighted as much as others are that the Leeds come in, but I do think that in terms of small towns, Atherton does deserve a good go. I'm fully in agreement with Chris Green and my colleagues that yes, it's good that we're hearing about this master plan, it's good we're getting on with it, but it'd be nice to bring it forward with a bit more detail, with more money. With regards though, I am surprised to hear John Harding criticise an Atherton councillor
over the Alton South site. Because at that hustings, the Labour Party weren't saying, oh, the Alton South site, what a great opportunity for the town. They say, oh no, we're against it. This is all the Conservatives' fault. Well, that wasn't true then. This isn't true now. So at least be consistent in what you're trying to claim here, because it wasn't true when you were saying it then, and it's not true now. And to be quite honest, I think Councillor Gerrard will probably, when it goes before the people of Alton, I think probably they will have supported his position on the way voting on the planning committee, rather than the position you're striking now, which, like I say, wasn't the position you were striking 12 months ago. I'm quite happy to give this motion my support. Obviously, it needs to be some detail worked out, but I am quite happy to give due credit to the council for the work they've done already on this. I think it's a good start. I think that it is a good scheme, and I hope it forms the basis for further schemes in other small towns across the borough, and we can get on with places like the town centre of Tilsley, Golden, Ashton, and other places like that in due course. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for letting me speak. Yeah, I'm fully supporting this. We were schooling in the Green a few years ago. That was going to be a bus from Wigan through to Allerton, through to Manchester. They put all the yellow lines going out, streets and everything, to get the fast lane going. But yeah, that didn't appear. Now, Madam Mayor, I'm glad that Councillor Gerrard represents, because I've got an agenda here with no mention of what you just said. What you said. This is against Councillor Mulligan. I'm not being given the information because everything's on the tablet. And you should be aware some officer who broke the rules. So I don't flag officers off who don't break the rules and who break the rules. We'll get a clearance on that. Now this is a fantastic idea. Invest in another town.
Councillor Brewer. Can you keep to the agenda?
Councillor Ernie was talking about his own law. I'm talking about my own law.
I'm not referring to the motion.
I'm got it.
Stick to the motion, Councillor.
Look at the motion. You ain't talking about Allerton. Councillor Ernie was talking about his own law. Obviously, I've not been able to read his motion because it's not in this document which David began
It's a public agenda, so you will see it.
I'm not going I've got to
Councillor
read
Reid,
it.
do you want to speak on this motion yourself? Would you please do so now?
I'm speaking on the motion. Yeah, I fully support that. I think investments in towns and buildings like in Green are essential because we all pay for the cost. We all need money. So yeah, I fully support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to take this opportunity to endorse the comments made by Councillor Harding regarding this motion and also to make some salient points of my own. I was in that gallery on March the 7th and I can reiterate that this funding was raised at that meeting. I remember quite clearly the discussion and the reassurance from Lord Peter Smith. I've lived close to Allerton Town Centre for over 30 years. I've shopped there and I've used its leisure facilities and I know it has much to be proud of. However, there are many claims that there is no investment in Allerton, which is just not true. For instance, our new town hall refurbishment has cost in the region of £400,000, and I've got to say that there are other places in our ward who would love to have a facility like that. This will provide the focal point and the community hub that Councillor Gerrard states we need. However, Councillor Gerrard actually launched a web-based petition 6 months ago, highly critical of this substantial investment. It said,
we're going to see Abington lose its full library service and downsize into a click and collect service in the refurbished town hall. This is completely inaccurate. Instead of a true representation of that facility, it was used for for personal publicity and for the political campaign. If investment is not acknowledged, then our residents are surely being shortchanged and deliberately kept in the dark. My colleague says that he cares passionately about businesses in the community. I feel exactly the same way, and so I tried to post on the Abington resident site.
It is not a point of order. Would you carry on?
Okay, so I tried to promote businesses and the community through the Abington Residents Facebook site, and it's just not been allowed. So who's best placed?
Talking about the Facebook, that's not part of the motion.
Who is best
Councillor give respect.
Point of order,
Councillor Breland, I will speak once more. Please carry on.
And who is best placed to decide what the community of the future needs? The uncomfortable fact is that however much we would like to return to the traditional high street, it will never be the same as 10, 20, 30 years ago. Change is uncomfortable and challenging, and we need to support our businesses to be innovative, flexible and relevant. So, where are the plans that need funding? Where are the costings? Where is the specific sum that my colleague is referring to? We need to pause and reflect on the needs of Abington in the coming years, and we need to look at the evidence and what we're actually going to serve our residents with. For instance, we're going to have much more in terms of elderly residents, we're going to have more young families, and we need to plan for them. And it's not always about money. I think that things like our cultural awareness is really, really important, and I think that our town centre will benefit from the new town hall and all the things that we can do with it, including things like art exhibitions, music recitals, cultural festivals. They will bring footfall into our town, as well as money and investment that way, which is already being assured beforehand. Thank you.
Sorry, Madam, but I should go a bit then.
I wasn't going to speak on this. I agree with Councillor Gerard. I don't want to make it about my ward. It's a fantastic motion. But let's point one thing out with Stuart. Stuart isn't me. Stuart isn't Bob. Stuart stood up and spoke and was polite. He didn't even really criticise the council. You know, I understand why we get some flack. We give it them. But I'll be honest, we do, so I accept it. But why is the personal attack on Stuart going on about Facebook and Abington Residents Association? If you don't want to give the money to Abington, or whether you're told what you can and can't do, I don't know, just don't do it. Don't attack the man when he's doing what he's voted to do, which is stand up for the residents of Abington. Maybe you should try it. Thank you, Gerard.
Councillor Aldred.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I weren't going to speak this evening, but I think a few words need to just be actually pointed out instead and just fact. It's our Labour councillors who foresight the need for the rapid transport system in Abington and Lee for access to jobs to give money to people that we represent to spend in our town centres, which were objected by the opposition, by the way, at the time. The amount of stick I've had for years on that was unbelievable, and I'm glad they're using it now as a plus. Two, it's your Labour councillors through this council that pass the motion to make sure that our town centres are having money spent on it. So the question realistically is, do we want something that somebody's just making up here tonight to make political gain, or do we want something that's been passed through this council that's been looked at properly to actually see where the money needs to be spent in our town centres before we spend it? That's the question. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Hodgkinson, as you have reserved your right to speak as secretary, I now invite you to speak on the motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for letting me speak. I don't want to wall what Stuart says, because it's totally, it's well everything's in what he's trying to suggest what happens in these. Basically, council did promise funding to Hampton through the master plan. The master plan had made a huge success with it. Stuart's not saying anything against it, because we welcome it, but we need to see what kind of funding, what can be achieved quickly to try and get these businesses into the town centre. And out of this, I hope the motion is passed. But out of it, I wish I could arrange a meeting with all councillors rather than our league. Another meeting with the leader to go through what activities, what funding can be put in straight away to make sure that some of the ideas that we all have in that master plan could help to implement what Stuart's trying to say this morning. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Leader.
Quite happy for Fred to go first.
Councillor Walker.
Yeah, just a simple question, but we agreed in March about some work being done, some money spent in Hamilton. The work's going ahead to suss out exactly what's needed. So how, before we've actually worked out, and we're in the middle of consultation with people of Hamilton, how would we know what is to be spent before we've completed that consultation? Should we ignore the people of Hamilton? Because that's the logic of getting it done now before we finish the consultation. You know, there's no logic to this. The real logic is that, thank God, because I live in Hamilton, I'm a member of the ARX, as it's called, but I'm really embarrassed that we're trying to suggest that the council are doing nothing when actually we're doing everything that we've asked for. And let's not pretend that that's not the case. Well, don't tell me, let's get it spent, let's get the money, when we don't even know what that master plan's going to produce and what this public consultation that we're in the process of sounding out the people of Hamilton on has responded and finished yet. So I'm completely confused.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. Leader.
Thank you, Madam. First of all, thank you for Councillor Jerry for his question. Every right to ask the question. Elected member, every right to ask the question. Unfortunately, he wasn't there on the March 7th meeting. And in fact, I think it was Councillor Winsterley who raised the funding for district centres. And the leader at that time actually quite rightly that we would certainly have a look, because with all due respect, it's not just about Hamilton. It's about law, although James didn't mention law. Right happy to put the right to the bottom of the list if you so wish, James. But it's all young centres, isn't it? It's Hingley, it's Standish, it's Goldberg, it's Ashton, and that could go on and on. And we could all be Spartacus, couldn't we? I'm Spartacus, but we're all here to represent the communities that we elected to represent. But at the same time, we've made a pledge that we're going to have a look at all the district centres. I made an offer tonight about Wigan and Leigh. It's not just about Wigan and Leigh. It's about all the district centres, and we certainly need to know what's needed and needed to be spent in these centres. Councillor Jones tonight brought up Ashton Moor. We need to know all these things that need to be done for us to deliver the service properly. I can't just say tonight, well, I'll spend 4 million in Atherton, or I'll spend 4 million in Scandal, or I'll spend 4 million in Gold, 4 million in Ashton. We could go on forever, but we need to know what we're going to spend it on. That is the reason for the district plan. And I ask you to get involved in that. You know all about it, you've read the district plan, and I'm sure there's a lot of other councillors wanting their particular centres to have a district plan that we can see where we want to go. So I'm not concerned that you've raised this tonight, all good and well, but can I just refer you back to the 7th of March when this council, following a question from Councillor Winstanley, agreed that we would look at all district centres and have a look at what we need to do. And this is the process that we're now starting. So I'm sorry, Stuart, I can't agree to your motion, because at this stage we need to go through the process of investigating the district plan. Simple as. I don't want it to take 10 years or 20 years for us to start to see investment in our district centre. I touched on it tonight. The retail sector in this country is in crisis. It's in major crisis. When we talk about business rates and how it's affecting some of the big chains, perhaps James can use his influence. We don't blame everything on the Tories, but at the same time, we need the government to act for the retail sector. It's a massive part of this country's economy, and it's slowly dying, being strangled by people buying online. Let's be honest, that may be the way that we go. But district centres are a victim of that as well. So please, Stuart, as much as I can't accept your motion tonight, I can certainly tell you that we are interested and we are looking at district centres, and we'll certainly make that decision once all the plans are in place. And if the second phase of the merge challenge comes up, I'm sure other people want to throw the hats in the ring for that as well. But please, Stuart, accept what I'm saying to you. As much as I can't accept your motion tonight, we are looking at the district centres, and I hope the rest of the council will support them. Thank you.
Councillor Gerard, I now invite you to sum up on the motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I didn't realise we were going to have a political broadcast tonight, but I thought we were going to have a bit of a go-on debate, but there we go. I welcome the leaders' comments about having both the future meetings on further investment. But I touched on in the original motion that I welcome the master plan. Obviously I wasn't here privy to the meetings in March. But the feeling I get with the master plan is that it's not going to be set in stone. And that, obviously I was elected in there by the good people of Atherton. That will be seeking town centre investment. So that's one of the reasons I've asked motions to the council tonight, living up to my election pledges. If I can just touch on what John already mentioned about the planning meeting we had yesterday. Yes, I voted against it. Not necessarily against the areas not being built in the investment. My main concern was the safety of the residents when the viable access road was going in. It wasn't to do with the development, it was to do with health and safety, and that's the only reason I voted against it. Nothing to do with investment. To touch on Council Wales with the town centre and the library. Yes, I've welcomed many times investment into one of our public buildings, but that is to the detriment of two other public buildings that will be closed in Atherton. Without investment, which is going to be, which is up for disposal once they're empty. That was my main concern about the library closing. And also about shopping. The town hall has not suddenly got up and moved into the town centre. It's quite a walk out of the town centre and not on the main centre shopping route. The only people it's going to attract in the community is the people who go to Atherton. It's straight across the road. So that's what I say on that. Guided busway. Yes, I was against the guided busway. Not necessarily the bus into Leigh, into Manchester, but I wasn't against the busway itself. I would have liked to have seen a light railway into Leigh, so it would have opened Leigh up to the rest of the UK, not just Manchester. You know, so that's the reason there. People have opinions, that's why we all come into politics, and they're just my opinions. So I'd just like to leave it there. Like I said, Councillor Molyneux, the leader, if we can have a meeting and discuss this fund, because yes, we've heard that this is going to be funded. We don't know how much the funding is, which is what I touched on earlier, is how much investment's going to be there, and the time scale that the master plan is going to take to complete and implement, and that them are the main points. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will now move to the vote on the motion. All those in favour of accepting Councillor Gerard's motion, please show. Against? The motion is defeated. The second motion this evening has been submitted by Councillor Maiden. I would remind him that he does not need to read out his motion, as it is set out on page 125 of the agenda. Councillor Maiden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and esteemed members in this chamber.
Yeah, I'd like to propose a motion that maybe we'll be talking rubbish. It should be my side, not this side, rubbish talking. I'm working. Yeah, it's the black bin going back to June to August. It's not a complete full term. It's to cover the busy summer period. The people I get complaining about the bins, the rats, the maggots. It's all I get. I only got elected in there, and it's the main thing. Emails, phone calls, people in the street. And I think it's time we addressed it, looked at it, and sort of said, we could make a fair compromise. Surely in summer, when the kids are off school, there's more rubbish piling up, the gates are shut at the school, so people are at home, kids are at home, and there's more food in the bin. So the motion is for the black bin, just for the seasonal time of June to August, goes back to twice a week. The green bin, with the organic waste and all that, you can speak after me if you want. The green bin from April to August goes back to once a week. I'll reserve my time for that gentleman if he wants to speak. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Maiden. Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Jones, do you wish to speak on the motion or reserve your right?
I'll reserve the right to speak.
Okay, thank you. Do any other members wish to speak on the motion? Councillor Seaman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I thank Councillor Maiden for his motion that he's submitted tonight? On the face of it, Councillor Maiden's suggestion of a hybrid seasonal collection service may seem appealing, and it's certainly not as drastic an option as a return to year-round fortnightly black bin collections would be, as Councillor Maiden has just described. However, as I will describe shortly, there are some significant and compelling financial, environmental and logistical reasons why the proposed change would have significant negative consequences for our borough. I appreciate that Councillor Maiden wasn't a member of this council at the time we took the decision to amend our waste collection service, which amongst other things saw the implementation of a 3-weekly black bin collection of residual waste across the borough and fortnightly for all year round green and food waste collections. So we appreciate you may not necessarily have the opportunity yet to study in detail the reports and views from places like Overview and Scrutiny. In my portfolio holder update at item 5 on tonight's agenda, I did explain why we moved to our current pattern, the environmental benefits it is currently delivering, and indeed the significant contribution it's making to the revenue savings this council has to deliver. I think it's really important to be clear about what these changes have achieved. So to quickly recap, our revised collection service has now delivered one of the best recycling rates in Greater Manchester, and it's saving us about £2 million per year, which has helped make our council tax one of the cheapest in Greater Manchester. Our recycling rate has increased from 42 to 54%, that's a 12% increase, and we're no longer at risk of EU fines which could cost several £100,000 per year if we were ever to get to that. Reports of fly tipping have been reduced by 13% on the same period last year, and let's not forget that looks the national trend, which shows there has been an overall increase of 7% in reports of fly tipping. As I said earlier, we've also listened to residents' concerns at the time we did the consultation and implemented the new regime in relation to larger families who thought they might struggle, families with children in nappies who thought they might struggle, and households producing high volumes of medical clinical waste. And as I said earlier, we've issued 4,500 additional black bins to those families that qualify, who might otherwise struggle because they generate greater waste volumes which they cannot recycle further. It is clear a key driver for this motion is linked to the seasonal issues of increased reports of flies and maggots. But as I said earlier this evening, the evidence shows that this is not unique to Wigan. There are problems for most local authorities, regardless of the collection frequency. The two factors governing this, as I described again earlier, are the unusually hot weather conditions, together with the way some residents have been storing food-derived waste. When considering any motion or policy put before this council, members need to be presented with clear information about the impacts this will have so that we can make informed decisions on behalf of our residents. What's missing from Councillor Maiden's motion is an assessment of the costs and other impacts of the proposal so that we can all make an informed choice about its merit or not. So let's explore in a little bit more detail what the implications could be of this proposal. Our waste collection service has adapted to the new collection regime, and our resources, both in terms of staff and equipment, have been matched to the new regime. We simply don't have the spare crews and collection vehicles to enable us to change to a seasonal increase in collection frequency without significant additional costs. We would also need to undo that and revert back to the current arrangements at the end of each seasonal period. So what are the logistical issues and costs if we move to the 2-weekly black bin collection and the weekly green bin collection regime? Firstly, we need to there will be an increase in the number of refuse collection grounds by 8 from the current number we have. The cost of resourcing these rounds is estimated to be £560,000. These costs include vehicle hire, fuel and temporary and crew staff for 6 months, which will be the minimum hire period for that type of service. We need 24 additional staff that will be required. However, experience tells us that it's difficult to recruit staff on short-term temporary contracts, especially HGV drivers, of which we would need another 8. We need to have further interim collections during the swap over from 2-weekly to 3-weekly and weekly back to 2-weekly.
Councillor Sweeney, I'm sorry I have to stop. You're out of time. Thank you. Councillor Hull.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm afraid this is short and tell. I absolutely agree with what Councillor Sweeney has said. Great work has been done by the council. There she is, in improving and upgrading the systems for waste disposal. Brilliant. But obviously, I've been since 2008. So originally the system was improved to live update the vehicles, which was profoundly expensive. So that if a big crew missed a bit, it would go back that day and collect it. Now that disappeared. Fair enough. But now what we have Friday is a spare day where people can go back and collect, which makes perfect sense. That day is spare so people can use it. So to help me understand where my particular point comes from, this is a nappy bag. I might not that it's stressful. This is the bag that I use. And this is not a particularly big pad. Right? This isn't exactly, you're alright, but this isn't a particularly big Compared to bariatric pads, they get quite a lot bigger. So this isn't a personal dig or anything. I'm just letting you know where my thought comes from. Okay? So, not everybody wants or requires more black bin deliveries, which is fine. But some of us, I mean, I have a big bin and a smaller black one. But at 10 of these a day, and it's 3.5 litres, at 10 of those a day, which is not too good. Your little black bin gets filled up pretty quickly. Okay? So maybe there is a way that you can look at getting a list of people that actually do need more than one black bin collection on a 3-week basis. And I mean, especially in summer, because it does really smell. Maybe through the summer, those could be collected on a Friday, because we know that day is kind of spare. Obviously, they do collect what they just through the week. But maybe that's something you can look at. But I think that this is not political. We're all trying to work together. Maybe we can do that in the next 5 minutes. So that's the reality of what some of us are dealing with. Okay? So can you take that and kind of look at it, please? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Olsen has just basically said something that's been brought to my attention. It's basically young families, obviously newborn babies in the nappies, they fill up the black bin quite a lot. I know they can have two black bins, but it's still creating a lot of extra rubbish. Is it not possible for young families, who obviously have to make sure they can stuff like that and the social services, is to be provided with a bin similar to when I go with a can of food bin, so it can be separate and collected on a separate day. I know it may be expensive, but it might maybe more hygienic. You know, it's creating people just putting everything in the black bin at the moment, but can't go to the recycle centres. Well, this way it can be segregated. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Sweden, 54% recycling. Great figures. How much of that gets burned? I believe we sent it to Holland. If you go to Winstead, you see a big machine, what bales, all the rubbish together. A lot of people don't know that, or they don't know because the tips are off. It's a big baling machine. And when you talk to the wagon drivers, they tell us it's all going to Holland. Burned, recycling, burned, regenerating electricity, burned. What percentage can you tell me what was to be burned, please? I'd like to answer that, if possible. Also, so many years as a councillor, you remember a lot of stuff, a lot of people in here don't remember. A few years ago, there was a big investment to do in Croydon to have a ward for an incinerator of Lakeless. What did he do? He stored all his waste in big buildings, flies everywhere, all over England Green, all over Apple. Did we revamp that £2 million back to reinvest into a recycling scheme? You was the ward councillor, Councillor Sweden. No, did we ever get that money back? Obviously not. Regarding recycling, that little girl really put it across. She was doing it in her home. When she was shopping with her family, there's no recycled bins. There's no recycled bins on play areas. So maybe that's an idea. Maybe we give me, big wages, you know, if we can talk things and things like that. Well, obviously, the controlling group pay a lot of money out for ideas. I mean, recycling bins in play areas, empty them more because kids are off school. That's been brought to our attention. It's common sense when you look round, but we don't get the infrastructure of what we should be getting. And like I said, Councillor Mooney, this master plan, I've had an iPad for 2 years. 2 years!
We're not talking about iPads. Keep to us, keep to the motion.
Well, I think so, but we don't get information. If I'm not getting information, Madam, well, then, you know,
This is not about, this is about here today. Keep to the motion. Keep to the motion.
Yeah, it's £2 million we could get back, and, you know, our children are suffering. I mean, we got the girl of praise her. So, can we count on you, Councillor, to put the recycling bins in play area?
We're looking at it. Sorry, we're only looking at it.
I will not hold it across the chamber.
Moving forward, if we've not had any information about it.
Councillor Beeler, continue to speak as you do it. There will not be questions to and fro until it is correct to do so. You are speaking on the motion. Could you please continue to do so?
Is this not an area for debate? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? This is an area for debate.
These
We're expressing our concern.
Councillor Beeler, are you going on to speak or just going to sound to your own?
You're not asking the question.
Then ask the question. But don't just let it
And I answered. And he stands up and gives his
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam. Sorry.
Councillor Anderson, please carry on. Continue,
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and sorry if I've got ahead about anybody else, but I think I just want to reflect the beginning of this council meeting and obviously the fantastic ambassador Amber was for recycling. And it reminds us of why we produced a change, one of the reasons anyway, and that's for future generations. The recycling rate of 54% puts us in the Premier League of local authorities almost. We are among the top recycling authorities in this region. And, you know, from where we were some years ago, we need to actually recognise them. And the movements we've made in terms of recycling are vast in this local authority over the last number of years. Admittedly, there's an extra incentive in terms of introducing a free weekly black bin collection, along with the 2 weekly blue bin collection. What's financial? Because we have been the 3rd worst local authority hit by austerity in this country. And that is a political matter as well. And some of our Conservative members of, you know, support a government, a party, that is actually let's just go back to, was that an suggestion from Council Hunt? Oh, I'll stick to the motion.
Councillor Anderson, please stop debating across the council.
Yeah, I'll recognise your authority, Madam Mayor, and I know the consequences of not doing it. I think we also just need to reflect that in terms of this motion, I don't think it's been really properly thought through, has it? Councillor Sweeney outlined the budget implications of nearly £2 million in the cost of actually implementing these changes. Never mind the savings we've already generated, we're able to find £2 million in terms of the adult services, children's services. Where would you cut? Come up with some proper finance proposals. The introduction of...
explanation, Matt. I'm not talking about cutting services. I was saying about the revenue, what we pay for labour.
Councillor Reilly,
2 million.
please be quiet. We cannot have this being allowed to keep going in. Councillor Anderson, would you carry on, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Undoubtedly, this motion, if adopted, will have significant budget implications that have not been thought through fully and not been explained either in the debate so far or in the content of the motion itself. The change to the collections, including the introduction of fortnightly blue and three-weekly black bin collections, benefited from a carefully put together implementation plan. We were one of the last authorities in Greater Manchester to either produce a three-weekly collection or a slim bin option. And we learned lessons from that. I'm not saying we've not had issues, I'm not saying there are some issues remain in some areas, but overall it has been positively, successfully introduced by this local authority with a strong education and implementation plan which we should recognise across this authority. We've taken on board members' views, we go back for misbins on a Monday actually, Councillor Hilton, not Friday. And I would urge members to reject this motion out of hand. It's been ill thought through and it has consequences which have not been acknowledged. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry for the confusion where we were both furiously pressing buttons trying to see which one was get the mic. I just do want to point out, because this has been mentioned by several councillors, no, there are no costings, there are no costings. But Councillor Reagan has actually put within the text of his motion, this council requests council officers prepare a suitable report. So he does actually word that in the wording of the motion. So I don't think it's fair to criticise him for that, because obviously you've been able to get the information. Obviously, Council Reagan would not. And so he has to report to be done. Now, I understand if, in terms of general principles you outlined, you would want to reject it. Obviously, I've sat on the scrutiny committee to discuss these proposals when we first came in. There was, obviously, we were promised that if it did not work, there would be the capacity to revert back if needs be. And as has been said by the motion, as admitted by the motion, is by and large, the changes have been successful. There haven't been anywhere near the sort of problems that people were worried about, although in specific areas there have been problems, as Councillor Anderson alluded to himself. I do think, however, that specific cases, such as those outlined by Councillor Hilton, who obviously has an adult disabled daughter, generating 10 nappies a day, yes, he has this secondary small bin, which the council offers as part of the provisions already, but that in itself is not enough, and over a period of time waiting for it to be collected, it can become very smelly. That's where we perhaps need to look at further specific provisions, but obviously only for very specific people rather than general. So I understand if you would say, well, we had a look at the figures, this doesn't work in terms of the whatever. What I might suggest as a compromise is, since this motion asks for a suitable report to be prepared to look at with the debate, I suggest we refer this to Cabinet, perhaps come back to us with reports detailing responses to specific concerns like those laid out by Council. And I do hope that the leader will be willing to consider that as a solution to this, because I think there's still further work to be done. We appreciate the great deal that's been done already. Thank you very much.
Councillor Symes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to address the concerns raised by Councillor Jarrett and Councillor Bolton regarding people who, in individual circumstances, might need extra bins, extra capacity for bin collection. I'm one of those people. The 3-week bin collection coincided with my elderly mother having to come and live with me. She was very proud when I was made became a councillor. She never guessed I was going to mention the fact she was totally incontinent in the first speech, I don't think, unfortunately. But she is. And one of the first things I had to do was think, unfortunately, my bin's going to get full really fast. If any of the constituents have concerns about extra capacity for non-hazardous medical waste, it's quite simple. I just googled it. Wigan Council, additional black bin. A gentleman will come along, just check recycling properly, check the needs, and then an extra black bin is available. So I have an extra black bill to deal with those needs. Families who've got extra children, generating extra amounts of waste. I personally found Wigan Council to be great, and I've got into Pennsylvania, there's no problem whatsoever. So if people can advise the constituents to that, and it has saved us, it's meant that Councils have to save on reducing the recycling rate. So I personally, my household generally says the waste, and I'm not very little.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I was going to have a night off tonight, but Councillor Anderson has prompted me into action. We'll deal with the elephants in the room. The reason why we're facing these studies is because of the EU. There's no other way to describe it. So we know it's the blame for the problem. However, the first thing I would like to say is I'd like to congratulate the Council on the decision that they took a number of years ago not to join the Combined Waste Authority scheme in Greater Manchester. I think that was a foresighted idea and actually demonstrates why we're doing so much better than the rest of Greater Manchester when it comes to this. But we still can't get away from the EU's policy. And I'd also like to congratulate the Council on its increased recycling rates as well. I think a number of points have been made, which I think what we want to try and do is ensure that we're doing better. So we need to try and review and see what we can do and take on some board of the comments that have been made tonight, so we can actually all work together to improve this across the Wigan Borough. Because there's no two ways about it. It is causing some problems as well. We recycle a tremendous amount of, and we put it all in the brown bin and blue bin and all the rest of it. But I know that my brown bin was already full the beginning of this week. So I've had to store a lot of other stuff so that when it gets empty tomorrow, it's nearly a quarter full again because of the plastic and the tins and everything else. So as much as people are trying to do it, it doesn't make it easy for people either because we're on such a strict timetable with it. But that doesn't mean that we can't look for other things that could make it better and actually let's work to make it a lot easier for people. And I know we've quoted as well the incidents of fly tipping that have been reduced. Well, anecdotally, that's not the feedback I'm getting from residents and people when I look round and I look at the amount of litter that is scattered across the borough as well. So it might be that it's come down from a very high percentage, and obviously we always need to be careful when we're measuring apples with apples rather than measuring apples with pears. So I think we just need to take a percentage with a pinch of salt as well. But on the whole, I think things are moving in the right direction, but let's try and look at where we can make improvements and get us recycling more so that 54% is going up and we're actually doing it because we want to, not because we have to. Thank you. Yeah, I think to be fair as well, Councillor Sykes, and I'm going to congratulate you on your maiden speech as well. It's a long time since we were at school together, so congratulations on your election. No, they're all But I would also like to point out that Councillor Holton did make that point about the waste bin as well earlier on. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Esselman. Leader.
Slightly concerned about your brown bin, Mike. I'm not sure what you're doing. All right. And I'm sure you weren't saying that once we get out of the EU that we could dump rubbish wherever we want and it didn't matter if we recycled. I'm sure you didn't mean that. I didn't say that. I'm sure you didn't mean that. And just for Councillor Holton, yeah, if you want me to get you an audit to see what black bins in it, I'll do it. But that goes for anybody. It's not just Councillor Holton because he's brought it up here tonight. More than happy to do the audit. And if you need another big black bin, you get another big black bin because you've got an issue that needs, unlike children, it will be there for a long time. So you do need that support. If it's okay with you, I'll ask the officers to do an audit and see what we can do. Well, let's not forget when we started on this road of recycling, why we needed to do it. And in fact, Amber really summed it up. Can I tell you a story? I was the guy who first introduced these different coloured bins. I'm not blaming anything on Kevin. I was the guy who first brought them in these big bins. And I can tell you, I got 120 odd emails from a school in Lee, a primary school, and we'd sent out somebody to do an education about recycling to kids. Well, they all sent me emails. I think I've never got my hands on the teacher or the person who sent me, but they sent me all these emails saying to me, and demanded that we recycle more. Now the good news was they all threatened they were never going to vote for it. The good news is I don't live in Leeds, so I think it was a result. But it was emphasising how young people think that we have to act responsible to save the planet. Now I know we've just had the hottest summer is it on record, and a lot of the problems that Councillor Maiden has brought up, Councillor Sweeney's right, it's not just Wigan, it's not just Hingley Green, it's not just Inns, it's been a problem everywhere. But a lot of people understand what we're trying to do in terms of our recycling levels, and we're well supported on that. And the figure of £2 million is not to be sniffed at. I know Councillor Maiden said just a small part of the year, but the £2 million makes a big difference into the services that we support. Councillor Gerard's motion earlier about spending money in our district centres. £2 million makes a lot in terms of what we can put together to start supporting that. And the more we recycle, the more we can put in back into it. We've got to support the services, we've got to support children and young people's services, and we've got to support investment within this borough. Recycling helps that. It certainly has a part to play, but it certainly has a part to play in this planet. More and more you hear about what's happening out there in terms of the problems that we've got as a planet. And we can bury our heads in the sand, or in Michael's case, to ignore it, but it's a reality, and we've got to deal with it. And let's not forget when we talk about litter on the streets, we are going to enforce even more now about litter that's dropped on our streets. We've now got it from moving cars. Just be warned, if you're going to drop your rubbish out of a moving car, you're spotted, you'll be prosecuted. And think how much we could save as a council if we didn't have to pick litter up. The fact is that we don't drop our litters. The council as an organisation drop ours. People drop ours. And we've got to improve that education of it. People like Amber are actually doing that. The kids are the best ambassadors we've ever had. And just one thing that we need to think about. I'm sorry, Michael, sorry, James, sorry about this and Barrow, but we've lost 160 million as an authority. That is not an imaginary figure. That is a true figure. And we've got to deal with that. So can I just say, well, thank you for your motion. Thank you for Steve for seconding it, but I can't accept it at this stage. It's only been in for 12 months for a start. Perhaps if you come back at budget time with some figures, we'll look at it. But all I can say to you now is at this moment in time, we shouldn't accept it. Let's continue with the recycling, and let's make Wigan on this planet a lot better place.
Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Leader, for responding to I thought you responded very well. You're entitled to disagree. I was going to come in, reason reserved I like to speak. I was going to, like Councillor Main, try to persuade you all to vote for it, but I think it's established that you're not going to do. So I want to pick up on a few points. Councillor Main is a representative of the people. The biggest issue at the moment in Wigan, rightly or wrongly, is the bins. So my Councillor Main coming and putting a motion forward, he's putting a motion forward for his boss. And that's the same boss each one of you have. And I guarantee each one of your constituents want you to vote in favour of this motion. And in not doing so, what we're actually saying is, we're saying, we know better than you, the people who employ us. And it'll be, do you know what, as an opposition member, fantastic. I can picture my Facebook post as soon as I get home, Labour vote against the black bins. It won't do us any harm at all. And if that's the way you want to be, that's it.
No shouting across the chamber.
Thank you, Madam. Councillor Sweeney, I need to pick up on a few points. You made it very easy for me. You said Councillor Evans was councillor at the time, so he wouldn't have been involved. The This council never debated these bins going to 3 weeks, and you know that. No, we did not. If that had been debated in here, that would have been very interesting. We never debated it. It was made by the executive officers and the cabinet. We never debated it. Because I remember standing up and having been able to far more than this, and it would have put yourselves in a situation. So don't blame yourselves. But it's you now who's got the opportunity. Do you vote for the executive or do you vote for the people? Remember why you became councillors. And I'm sure all of you became councillors because you want to be a champion for the people. Second of all, you asked the public. Councillor Sweeney, you did ask the public. You put out a consultation and went round, and guess what you got back? 87% of people said no, we don't want it. And then you did it anyway. If you're going to be dictators, and again, I'm not talking to the backbench councillors, if you're going to be dictators, I respect them all, do it anyway. Don't go out, ask the public what they want, and then when they say 80, and that's a big percentage, I'm sure the other percentage was from the employees, say, no, we don't want it, do it anyway. Do any of you actually read the questionnaires that was actually put out? You couldn't answer against them. Do you want to see rubbish on the streets and questions like, obviously no, and then you want about what a great response you've had. Again, you are the authority, so if you want to be the authority, make the tough decisions. What aggravates me is this business, this current council attitude. We're wonderful, we love you, we'll play some music, but go exactly what we said. I'll tell you a story. I was going to bring this up. You're exactly right. Exactly right. I had a resident, young boy, nappy every day, and I reported it, and I actually get on with a lot of officers, and I believed it'd be sorted. She rung me up the month crying. The officer, and this isn't attacking officers, no names mentioned, didn't go knock on the door, they went straight to the bin, found some tins in a black bin, refused to give them another bin, and this was a hard subject for this woman to bring up. And we got nowhere. I rang up, I tried, we're going to put on this programme for so many weeks, then we'll come back. There was a couple of tins in, madam. We could have given a bin, helped, and then still come back. But to the point where, what are we doing when officers want to go out rooting in bins before even talking to a resident? That was also a council tenant, otherwise I think they would have themselves in a bit of trouble. Reducing fly tipping. You want to say something? I'll shout across Chairman. Councillor Muller. Thank you. Reducing fly tipping. Have you been down any of our lanes? I've got the fly tipping is worse. The bins are spread out more, big bullet on the fly tip. Have you seen the little bins next to the road what say no household wares? Filling, bringing out, spilling out the sides. That's because people can't fit any more in the bins, so they're putting them in there. Councillor Mayor, that's the best motion I've seen in here because you're standing up for the people. Well done. Thank you very much, Madam.
Councillor Maiden, I know we invite you, listen in. I'm sorry, but you have spoken. It's already down here, you have spoken, you can only speak for once. So it is the summing up now. Councillor Maiden, I now invite you to sum up on the motion. You have reserved the right to speak. I will now
Councillor Walker, the Mayor agreed to the summing up as Councillor Jones is coming. He reserved his right to speak. I do too late.
You can press that 10 minutes for that button.
We are in the summing up now. Councillor Maiden.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, you're talking about I'm against recycling. It's not against recycling. It's like you're creating a straw man. I mean, the straw man was probably with the green bin, and that's what I was talking about. Councillor Anderson, not the blue bin, it's the green bin I want to back. And I thank Councillor Grundy, he told me that at the end of the state. It's the black bin going from 3 to 2 weeks between June and August, and the green bin going from 2 weeks to 1 week from April to August. I'm not saying don't recycle, I'm all for recycling. I don't need any extra bins, I'm fine with what I am, I recycle. But like Councillor Jones said, I represent the people. That is what they've asked me to do. That is how a representative democracy works. I mean, it's quite ironic you had George Orwell in 1984. He said a local council was an occupying force, and that's exactly what they seem to be. be, because the people do not want their bins being emptied on these days. They have asked us, 83%. And what Councillor Sweeney doesn't like Facebook, I'm not surprised with it, because there's 22,000 people signing petitions against it. So the people supporting on this, they've asked me to put this motion through, and that's what I'm doing. You talk about having a second black bin. No, it's a second black bin, not more damaging to the footprint and the green, but taking the black bin away what's already there. It has to be made, it has to sit there, it's got to decompose. The green waste is decomposing. So when you recycle it, it's sat there decomposing. And don't get me started on the budget, Councillor Molyneux, because I'd love to tell you on that. The waste in this town is astronomical. You know, the deal banners all over the place. Believe in this, believe in that, believe it's not butter. That's costing £116,000 a year. Nobody wants that in Wigan. They want the bins empty. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I will now move to the vote on the motion. All those in favour of accepting Councillor Maiden's motion, please show. Against? The motion has been closed. That concludes the business